Dr. David Klee has over 30 years experience as both a teacher of the flute and as a professional musician. He has performed in all kinds of musical organizations, ranging from classical orchestras to heading his own jazz group, the Jazz Express. With these Pro Minute video series, Dr. Klee will share some of his secrets with you on how to become a better flutist. Hello, my name is Dr. David Klee, and welcome to another Pro Minute video. Today we're going to take a look at the Serenade by HAYDN, and this can be found in the Concert and Contest Collection for Flute by Rubank. Should be coming up on your screen. This is a delightful little work for younger flutists. It's marked andante cantabile, and that means moderately slow, very sweetly, very musically. And this is a lot more difficult than young flutists imagine it is, but it's a great work. One thing to consider with this is if, depending upon the length of time you're allocated when you perform. I know I've judged solo ensembles for 40 plus years, and I do know they usually have X amount of time available per student to come in and perform. And if you go beyond that, some places, sometimes they'll deduct points off your score, or they'll just stop you right there and say, okay, that's all you can do. So anyway, as you work on this, I would start thinking of time, and if you have to, you possibly could just not take the repeats, or not take one of them. So you have some options here, because the two repeats pretty much, the first half and the second half, that pretty much doubles the whole time of the song. And if you're only allowed maybe 3 or 4 minutes, that might be too much. So anyway, that's something to consider. Alrighty, so let's take a look at it. Alright, so I played just a little bit in the beginning. So take a look at that. So it's very lyrical. Ya da la la da. Everything's full value. Dee ya da. Oh, now we have staccato. But I like to think of staccato as very lightly tongued, with the slightest separation. I'll demonstrate. So you don't want to beat it to death. You don't want to hit it so hard it becomes non-musical. Okay, and now going into measure 5, you got a dotted 8th and a 16th. Ya da da. I call those Humpty Dums. Ya da da la da 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 dee da 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 dee da. I'll demonstrate. Alrighty, now. Going into measure 7, what do we have? Oh, it's pianissimo. So it's more like an echo of the first 4 measures. Kind of the same thing melodically, but softer. Oh, there's something new. 1 E and a 2. 1 E and a 2. Now the biggest problem with young flutists I've noticed when I judge them with that, they're holding their flute incorrectly. And what do I mean by that? Well, again, I have some videos, I'll put in the link, on how to hold your flute correctly. A lot of young flute players tend to want to hold something like this. Or even worse, I've seen this. And then they bend the fingers when they need them, like this. Your fingers should be more like this, and they just go up and down. So if I hold my flute, then you notice they're not really doing this, they're just going up and down. And if you hold it correctly, it's not hard. See, It's when you hold the flute incorrectly, playing fast is very difficult on a flute. All right, so now going into measure 11. Okay, now going into measure 13, look at the dynamic. Oh, mezzo forte. So now we're finally getting a little stronger, a little more energy. When we get into measure 15, we're crescendoing. Oh, okay. So I'll start back going into 13. Okay, so let me talk about that. Going into 15, we got B-D-D. That's a big interval. I'm going from low range to high range embouchure. So what a lot of young flute players do, they tongue the high D and then they have to play it loud because they're not using their third octave embouchure. They go. They do that, which won't be very musical. So you want to just practice. It's hard to see, but I'm going. I'm doing that with my lips. Alrighty, so that's how you do that. Okay, now measure 17, you have a similar with a D octave. And again, I'm going ew, ew, ew. And you always want to make sure grace notes come before the beat. Da-ya, da-ya, da-ya. So if I take 15. Okay, now measure 19, it says diminish. So what we're doing, we're bringing the volume back down to more or less that original area of piano or pianissimo. And sure enough, and when we get into measure 20, it's pianissimo. And then there's that octave again. You notice when I play the octave, I don't have to play loud because I'm using my embouchure. So that's another way to practice. I'm changing my embouchure. I'm going from because the whole purpose of this, you have a low range, you have a middle range, and you have a high range embouchure. And the whole thing about the mouth changing is because the air coming out of your mouth has to change to play those three different octaves. And if you don't change it here, the only way to play it up a real high or real low, you got to blow louder. And then it don't sound good. It sounds very crude. In fact, I can play so soft because I'm using my third octave embouchure and I've opened my teeth up a little pinkies with. I can play very soft because I'm easily a little fingers with. Alrighty, that's exactly how you want to do it. Measure 22, you got a double grace of ya, di-da-da-da, di, di-da-da-da, di, di-da-da-da. What I do, that quarter note in the downbeat of measure 22, I make it an eighth note. And then the second eighth note, the end of 22, that's my two graceful. Ya, di-da-da-da, di. Ya, di-da-da-da, da. And then third 23, dia, dia, da, da, da. That makes sense? I'm sure it does. So here we go, going into 24. Alrighty, So that gets us into 27. Now, we have a little variation here in measure 28. Mezzo piano, so it's just a little bit louder. Okay, so what on earth am I doing in there? So you get into measure 28, you notice now we're starting to get lower. So I'm going from middle range, da 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 D, lower range, now back to the middle range, and now I'm back to the first octave, da 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 da, very first octave embouchure. So now I'm down in that area. So I'm very flat and firm, open my T, and what happens, it's a double win-win. First of all, you have more power down low when you use the correct embouchure, so you can play louder. Okay, and secondly, you're going to play sharper. Sharper means you're going to be in tune because the flute is inherently flat in that first octave. No matter how soft I play, I can play in tune because I'm flat and firm, my teeth are open. Versus if I use my middle range embouchure throughout that. You know, if I had a tuner right now, tuner probably hit me on the head. It'd be so flat. So you really want to, as you go down to that first octave, really pull back. Okay, so we're gradually getting softer. And you notice at the end of measure 31, it says diminish and retard. So we're slowing down. So measures 32, and 33, we are slowing down. Alrighty, so going into 34, now, you notice that in measure 33, you could repeat all that. So I'm not going to bother saying the same thing again. So now we're going to go into measure 34. Here it says mezzo forte and odd tempo. Odd tempo is your first tempo, the tempo you started the song with. So that's how I would play that. And again, you notice ta la ta ta ti la ta ta. I'm not beating those poor quarter staccato notes to death. I'm just lightly touching them, maybe a hint of a space. Now going into 38, it's piano. Alrighty, so let me talk about all that fun stuff. So, at 38, you've got your third octave embouchure, then you go down to your first octave embouchure, B, G, G. So you have to go, You have to change that embouchure. If I don't, I don't even want to go down there. So I have to change it. And then at the end of that measure 38, I got to go back up. So I'm and then 39 is the same exact way. So I'll do pick up to 38 and do 38, 39. Alrighty, so that's how you would do all that. Now, 40, the hardest part, we got grace notes. So if I play the measure without any grace notes, it's just dee da da dee da da. Now the grace notes you want to put just before the beat. You don't want to make a triplet out of them. I heard some go dee da 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 dee da da. They do something like that. You don't want to do that. It's just da 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 da. And then measure 41 is a coup de grace. If you don't hold your flute properly, measure 41 is a real pickle for you. So again, you're holding your flute, your fingers are not like this, they're just like this, very, very relaxed, moving from, you just go up and down like that. That's all it should be. And since the eighth notes have a staccato marking, I'll put a hint of a space. La da, la da, la da, la da, la da. And you notice though, I don't go la da, la da, la da, la da, la da. I don't tongue the end of it when I cut the ear off. Now the low G, I give a full value because it's a quarter note. Alrighty? Now, going into measure 42, look what we got. That it's a rehash of the eighth coming back. All that is the same. Now here, pianissimo at the end of 47, going into 48 with a big crescendo and then a decrescendo. 50, 51 does the same thing. Alrighty. Now going into 52, ya la da la da, ya la da da da. Now at the end of measure 57, there's a word there that says diminish. So now we're getting softer. So I'll do all that. Okay, so I'm setting the stage. That's what I'm doing now. I'm setting the stage. Now we get into 59. Da, da, ya. Again, there's that G. G, 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 G. Same thing. And again, grace notes before the beat. Da-da-da-dee, da-da-dee, da-da-dee. So if I do 60, 61, 62. Yes, that's probably the hardest measure in the song, measure 65, because you got all those grace ones. La da, la da 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 da, la da, la da 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 da. So what I do at 65, I make that beat one an eighth note. La da, da 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 da, and then I do the 216. Ya, la da 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 da. I do that. So I just do that. Makes it so much easier. Okay, going into 67. Okay, got a couple options here. So 67, la da da, ya da dee, la da da dee, ya da, la da dee, ya da dee, ya da da da, la dee, ya da da. Now, for a young flute player, they're thinking, where in the world am I going to breathe? Well, again, here's the beauty. If you make taking a breath feel natural, nobody will catch it because you got to breathe. I mean, after all. So anyway, here's a couple options. Measure 70, the dotted quarter note after that. Measure 71 after the dotted quarter note. One or the other if you need to take a breath. Typically what I would do, I'd probably take a breath in 71 after the dotted quarter there. And again, you shape it. So I'm going to start the pickups of 69. Okay, I think that would be very natural. Now, since the end of the song is 71, 72, What I would do, if it's the second time through, and or if you don't take the repeat, what I would do there, 71, I would slow the end of that measure down, and then 72, I would really stretch it out. Ya-da, something like that. I'd really stretch it out. So I'll do the whole thing. I'll do the pickups into 69. I would do something like that. All right. Now, again, this is a great piece of music. It takes a lot of air to play this. And why do I say a lot of air? Because most of the time, you can't play loud. You have to play controlled, which means it's all done with the embouchure, which means you can't play your high notes loud. You know, if it's marked pianissimo or piano, you have to use your embouchure. The right position, the right setting, and all of that to get out these upper notes. And in the lower range, you want to make sure you're flat, firm, and open to get that power out there so they sound clean and very musical. Alrighty, so I think you're on your way on this, and it's a great piece of music. Great piece of music. I have students every year play this. Typically 6th, 7th, and 8th graders will play this piece. It's a great piece. So anyway, until next time, the next piece I'll work with you on, this is Dr. David Klee, and I wish you the best in your fluty endeavors, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.